Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And oh boy, I talk about Chicago, Atlanta, New York, the state of California, some of these cities, Philadelphia, some of these cities that are having some real issues, tons of chaos and disorder, and just to shed some light on what's going on and hopefully to try to make these cities better and make people accountable for their actions. And this one there's another city that has quite a bit of issues going on with homelessness, the opioid crisis, migrant issues, and police brutality against their citizens. Phoenix, and Phoenix has been in the light, in the spotlight for a while now, and there has been one case here recently where, unfortunately, it involved a couple of police officers and a pedestrian. Unfortunately, there is a shadow overriding this story with at least two white cops and a black citizen. And they had an altercation, and this is an unfortunate scenario. A rush to judgment, and some things took place that has made national news. So let's go into this one. Video of Phoenix police using a taser and punching a black deaf man with cerebral palsy is under scrutiny. The arrest of a deaf black man with cerebral palsy who was repeatedly punched and shocked with a taser by a pair of Phoenix police officers in August and later charged with aggravated assault and resisting arrest has come under new scrutiny. Tyrone McAlpin was arrested by officers Benjamin Harris and Kyle Sue on August 19th, but his arrest has only recently drawn national attention after one of his attorneys, Jesse Showalter, released police body cam video and surveillance footage from his arrest. Some have seized on the officer's actions as further proof that the Phoenix Police Department, which the Justice Department has said discriminates against minorities and uses excessive force, needs federal oversight. There is no indication that the officers knew McAlpin was deaf or had cerebral palsy before his arrest. Amid mounting public outcry, Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell said in a statement on Monday that the case merits additional scrutiny. Phoenix is the seat of Maricopa County. Mitchell said that she has great faith in the attorneys who work at the Maricopa County Attorney's Office and those who have reviewed the case so far, but she plans to look at the case herself. Because of the attention of this case, I will personally review the entire file as well as the totality of the video, she said. I may reach a different conclusion or I may not, but I believe this case merits additional scrutiny. According to a police incident report provided by NBC News by McAlpin's attorney shortly before 8 a.m. on August 19th, Officer Harris responded to an emergency call of a fight at a Circle K convenience store on Indian School Road. The 911 caller said a white man in his 20s had been the aggressor and was still in the store, according to the police incident report. Officer Harris spoke with the man who said he had dried blood on his t-shirt and looked disheveled, according to Officer Harris's account of the interaction included in the incident report. The man told Officer Harris he had been assaulted after he tried to stop the theft of his bike, according to the incident report. As he talked with the officer, he pointed towards Mr. McAlpin, who was 34 years old, who is 34, who was walking nearby as the person who had assaulted him, according to the incident report. So this white guy in his 20s tells Officer Harris that 34-year-old black man, Mr. McAlpin, had assaulted him by the Circle K. Officer Harris and Officer Sue pursued McAlpin in separate vehicles and intercepted him in the parking lot of another store. Officer Harris's body camera video shows him attempting to arrest Mr. McAlpin within seconds of exiting his vehicle. The officer said in his report that he did so after McAlpin didn't respond to a verbal command to stop where you're at. McAlpin's attorney said that he is deaf and so he could not comply with the officer's commands. Officer Harris said that after he exited his vehicle and tried to hold McAlpin's left arm, McAlpin immediately engaged in active aggression by swinging punches at Officer Harris's head, beginning with his left arm. So remember, this McAlpin, a 34-year-old black man, is deaf. And then these two officers just come up and grab him. So of course he's scared. Within 15 seconds, one of the officers says, tase him, and orders McAlpin to put his hands behind his back. The body camera video shows. Officer Sue repeatedly punched Mr. McAlpin on the head. While McAlpin is face down and Officer Sue holds his left hand behind his back, Officer Harris shocks McAlpin with a taser and yells for him to put his hands behind his back. Officer Sue again punches Mr. McAlpin in his back. McAlpin screams out and moves his right hand behind his back. Officer Harris tells Officer Sue, "I think I broke my hand." And Officer Harris says McAlpin had bitten him. The body camera video shows. Much of the interaction is captured on Officer Harris's body camera. Officer Sue's body camera fell off at the beginning of the arrest and only shows the ground. McAlpin's attorney has denied that his client bit Officer Sue, saying he believes both officers' injuries resulted from their frenzied and violent attack on Tyron. After McAlpin is handcuffed, he can be heard making a series of noises. McAlpin's wife arrives on the scene minutes later and tells the officers that he is deaf and has cerebral palsy, the body camera video shows. She asks police to let McAlpin know that she is at the scene, and Officer Harris responds, "No, he doesn't need to know that." McAlpin can be seen in the video laying on his side on the ground in the parking lot with Officer Sue, Harris, and another officer. The woman asks for the officers' badge numbers and names and tell them they were wrong for shocking him with a taser. His wife at one point tries to get closer, and Officer Harris tells her she needs to step back or otherwise she'll be arrested, the video shows. McAlpin was charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault and 1 count of resisting arrest, both felonies, as well as a misdemeanor count of theft because the white man had accused him of stealing his cell phone. Now remember, earlier it was his bike, according to a complaint obtained by NBC News. So it went from his bike to a cell phone. The theft charge was dismissed in September on McAlpin. In an interview on Monday, Showalter said that he had obtained the videos and police report from McAlpin's parents. NBC News has submitted a public records request for these and other files, but has not yet received them. Attorney Showalter said he has also requested pertinent videos, including body camera video from police interviews with workers at the Circle K who refuted the white man's assault claim on August 19th. So the witnesses are saying that the white guy is lying. And other files of McAlpin's arrest in full from police. He has yet to receive a response, the attorney said. He said that if he does not receive that information by November, he intends to sue under the public records laws. Attorney Showalter said his priority remains getting what he described as unjust charges dropped. Anytime a person is facing felony charges, which necessarily involve a loss of their civil rights, potentially involve prison time, that always has to be the first priority. He said, my personal focus is making sure that people in this community are aware that this has happened, and that once people hear about the story, they'll come forward with additional information. The Phoenix Police Department said in a statement on Monday that Mr. McAlpin's arrest is the subject of an ongoing internal investigation and was assigned to the Professional Standards of Bureau on August 30th. The department has not answered questions about the officer's status of employment while the investigation is being conducted. The Arizona NAACP has called for them to be placed on administrative leave until a full investigation is conducted into their behavior, and for the community to be advised of the timeline of that investigation. The organization has also demanded that the charges be dropped, that the police release the full body camera video and surveillance footage from the arrest, and that the police department immediately review and reform its protocols for interacting with people with disabilities. Now, of course, when they first approached him, they didn't know that he was disabled, but that was a rush to judgment. They could have, I think, instead of football tackling him right away, they could have easily approached him and got his attention, had him turn around, start communicating with him, realizing that he's not understanding what they're saying, whether it's low IQ, he's deaf, let alone having cerebral palsy. But it was a rush to judgment, in my opinion, and what I've seen in the video. And was that rush to judgment based on the color of his skin and his gender, being a black male? Tyron was not a subject in an actual crime. He had not done anything wrong, and he also has communication challenges. His assault happened seconds after the police vehicle was put in park, said Andre Miller, the vice president of the Arizona State Conference of the NAACP. No true communication in this encounter was present. Now listen to this. In June, the Justice Department released a report. This is the government, the United States Justice Department, released a report after a 3-year investigation that found Phoenix police discriminate against Black, Hispanic, and Native American people when enforcing the law, unlawfully detaining homeless people, use of excessive force, including unjustified deadly force, and that officers disproportionately target communities of color. Wow, this comes straight from the Justice Department. What in the world is going on in the city of Phoenix, Arizona? If this story is true, this goes right along the lines of when Black Lives Matter, BLM, was talking about defunding the police, which I do not agree with at all. But do we need to get a few of the bad apples out of the force? There is a kind of hubris that is going on in many of these police departments from the top to the bottom, where they know that there is excessive force and with many of their officers, and I think it's actually being promulgated or promoted to a certain degree. We do have not only these police officers, but we have some police departments that think not only are they protecting the law, but they are above the law. And it is amazing how we're seeing so many scenarios where the level of aggression, the level of I'm going to attack right away ends up against people of color and males. But we also have to know that statistically, white cops shoot white pedestrians more than they shoot anybody else. But a lot of that has to do with that 65% of the United States population is of Caucasian descent. So it's more people that are white, so there are going to be more opportunities for there to be white altercations, white on white altercations. And I know when white officers, black civilians get into this dangerous altercation or interaction, it does draw a lot of attention to it. Race plays a major role in everything, especially in the United States of America. But in this particular situation, I think there was a rush to judgment. I think they could have approached Mr. McAlpin in a different way. We're talking about the theft of a bike or a cell phone. Those stories have changed. It's not like Mr. McAlpin went in there with a gun, shot somebody. All of this took place over a cell phone or a bike. While Mr. McAlpin is walking down the street, he wasn't running. In this story, does it say that he was in possession of a bike and or that gentleman's cell phone? You have witnesses that said that the situation did not even take place. So there is a lot going on there. But I do think that there was a rush to judgment based on Mr. McAlpin's age and color. Of course, they didn't know what his age was, but you can look at somebody and tell that they're not 60 years old and they're not 10 years old. And I think Mr. McAlpin was fitting that typical stereotype of stranger danger of a black man. But there's been a long history of the Phoenix police allegedly making a rush to judgment on people of color. And if you've been to Phoenix or the state of Arizona, there are quite a few Hispanic people there. There are quite a few Native Americans. So there needs to be a bridging and a symbiotic relationship of hopefulness and helpfulness between the police department, its public safety, and the citizens that live in Phoenix or the state of Arizona. And when things like this get out into social media and the national media, it affects your tourism. People are not going to want to come there. Public safety is a real issue. Police brutality is a real issue. And we've got to get to a better place of a harmonious relationship between our public safety individuals, our police departments, our leaders in our communities, and our tax-paying citizens that live in this country. This is an unfortunate story. We'll have to see how this plays out with the police officers. But tell me what you think. Were the police officers correct in how they handled it, or did they cross the line? This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth in a positive, righteous, and God-fearing way.